Sidelines with Rob Browne. Talk sporty to me.
All right, Rob Browne here with you on this Thursday, going into week 6 of college football. Jimmy Hodge on with us up in Knoxville. We're broadcasting live from Wynne, Arkansas, home of Red River Ford Toyota. And I'll tell you a couple of things. Land Cruiser 2024, it's coming back. That's what looks to be the big story coming out. Toyota Land Cruiser in 2024 will be available again in America. And they're going back kind of the old version of it. So just make sure you come over here to Red River Ford Toyota and ask them about that. And these Broncos are incredible. Fords, Toyotas, over 700 used cars, trucks, and SUVs. Check them out. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., redriverfordtoyota.com. We'll be with you for 2 hours today. Dudley Dawson, hogville.net, joins us in just a moment for the ECS House Industries Razorback Report. Gary Harris checks in after that down in Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9 WVUA TV 23. Check it out, 6:30 p.m. Tuesday nights with Rodney Orr. And in hour number 2, the coach, Jackie Sherrill, will join us, unfiltered as always. We love that. It's a lot of fun. Man, that guy knows his football. He knows business. He is a total package. We are here with you always Monday through Saturday. Sidelines, give us a follow on Twitter at sidelines_live. We will be glad to follow you and subscribe to our Patreon page on our website at www.sidelines.live. And also listen, if you missed the show, 680thefan.com, the podcast park in Atlanta, Kicks 96.3, Alexander City, Lake Martin, Central Alabama, part of the Radio Alabama group, and always www.sidelines.live, also available on Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, all those sites. And I'll tell you right now, we're going to talk college football about the Razorbacks. This past weekend played Alabama, got Mississippi State coming up. Dudley, man, this is a tough schedule. You got Mississippi State Saturday, then at BYU, then off, then at Auburn and Liberty. They're nowhere to hide in the SEC. But the Razorbacks, after being down 28-0 Saturday, 23 unanswered points, now you got to think about what's up with KJ Jefferson and going into the state game Saturday.
Yeah, it is a tough October. They knew that was going to be the case before they got going, and obviously losing the Texas A&M game was a crusher and a heartbreaker for them because you know that not many people are going to take down Alabama, but you needed to beat Texas A&M, and you need to go win this ball game this weekend. But doing it without KJ Jefferson, which it sure looks like is going to be the case, it's going to be a tough thing.
Can't hear him on those either.
Just start talking.
Dudley, looking at that game, with Texas A&M, that's one that I think Arkansas is going to look back on and say, how did we let that one get away? I mean, you always have games like that on your schedule. And it is frustrating because I thought Arkansas would be the second best team in the SEC West, right there and right there behind Alabama. I think Alabama is clearly the best team in the SEC West. Georgia, clearly the best team in the SEC East. But I'm just curious. I think we lost you there for a sec. What happened? KJ Jefferson's running the ball so much, and he's getting. You're going to take a lot of hits in doing that. But what's your gut feeling on that? You think he can be ready to go sooner than most people think?
No, I don't. Especially with the way things have gone with Tua Tagovailoa and other ones where the concussion protocol comes into effect. I think they will err on the side of caution. He did not practice Monday and Tuesday, did a little bit of work Wednesday, but it was not, contact or anything. He's got a long way to go to be able to play in that game. He's going to make the trip. That is something that, I think is wise because not only will he be down there, to support his teammates, but he can tell Cade Fortin, who's and Malik Hornsby, who are going to be the quarterbacks this weekend, it appears. He could tell them, the things that he knows from being out there and help them kind of be a quarterback coach this weekend, even if he doesn't play.
He's in the computer.
All right, and you think about it with the physical league in the SEC, and like I say, Ben Troop, I like to give people credit when they say something. Florida Gator All-American, 5 years in the NFL, tight end. He knows football. He knows about how violent the game is. Calls the NFL a collision league. But you got to say the SEC is the same way. So, all right, 2 years ago, and I remember after Mississippi State went to Baton Rouge, first game of the 20 season, LSU defending national champions, their quarterback Costello passed for about 643 yards. And everybody thought, well, Mike Leach is just going to run through unbeaten. Jimmy Hodge talked about it. Watch out. Barry Odom's going to have a defense ready to go. And Arkansas goes to Starkville and wins 21-14. This state team looks better than that team 2 years ago. And even though they've got 2 losses in a row, I think Arkansas is better.
Yeah, you've got a quarterback and some wide receivers down in Mississippi State who've now been in Mike Leach's system this is the 3rd year. So I feel like that they know more what they're doing. It's kind of a learned process with him. You can look at stats, and that's been the case, wherever he's been during that 3rd year, his quarterbacks and offense seems to make a jump. And I think when you look at it this weekend, yes, Mississippi State is favored, should be favored. Arkansas has won the last 2 games, so they've got a lot of guys on this football team who have won, been in those games where they've won. So that's got to give them a little confidence. It hurts. Sure looks like, as we said, KJ is not going to be able to play, but it does give them, a lot of, I think confidence going in that they have played and beat these guys the last 2 years. And also it appears that they're going back to the cloud defense, which is more of a zone, 3 safeties back, covering a third of the field deep. And then, you've got your cornerbacks in the flat and obviously your linebackers there at the short way. And that was what they did so well 2 years ago, to shut Mississippi State down after they had that big outing that you spoke of.
Yeah. And they're just looking around at Mississippi State. They don't necessarily, they're not one of these 4 or 5 wide outs, empty set backfield. They can run the ball, and their defense is playing pretty well. And you have to be careful always about looking too far into comparative scores. But they handled Texas A&M 42-24 at home. Arkansas looked like they were going to rout A&M, jumping out to that 14-0 lead. What is it about Arkansas that you've learned in the last 2 games, most specifically the Alabama game, after being down 28-0 and fighting back with 23 straight?
Well, you got to give them, again, a lot of credit for the grit they showed. But early on, they put themselves in bad positions. You cannot have turnovers, and you have to come up with turnovers. That's always been the case in this league, and I think we've seen that. Texas A&M goes down to Starkville last weekend and coughs up a bunch of turnovers, and that got Mississippi State rolling, and they were able to get the confidence and go from there. But it's always going to be about turnovers. It's always going to be about mistakes. This Arkansas team cannot win football games when it makes mistakes and when it doesn't capitalize on other teams' mistakes. We've seen that the past 2 weeks. Again, the 3rd quarter, kept a lot of people from going home, I think, when they rallied. Alabama helped out a little, obviously, with the worst punt snap of all time. That ended up being an Arkansas touchdown. And then obviously they, a 3rd and 15, and Jalen Milroe, Alabama's backup quarterback, takes off, goes 77 yards, ends up, they scoring soon after that. And several other big runs in that 4th quarter. I think Arkansas was wore down by then. So, that's going to happen against Alabama, but you cannot hurt yourself in an SEC football game, whether you're home or away, or those teams will make you pay for it.
Yeah, they will. And, the SEC, I think about Arkansas, as tough as this league is, you got to go out and play BYU after Mississippi State on the road. And that's going to be a tough game. But Arkansas, where are the issues that you're seeing with this team? Offensive line, defensive line. We know about the secondary. golly, Jalen Catalon, that injury is just, we knew it was big at the time, but even that being said, is the defensive line doing the job? Because if you get a good pass rush, that makes the secondary look a lot better. But if you got really good athletes, you can dominate.
Arkansas is still leading the nation in sacks with the 21. So, I mean, I think the defensive line and the transfers that came in there have done their job, and obviously the guys that were returning have gotten better. You mentioned the secondary. There should be 3 starters back there that, would make that secondary a lot better. You're basically playing your second secondary as your starters now, in this deal. And when that happens, and Coach Pittman talked about it a little bit, he's never had a position decimated with season-ending injuries. In Jalen Catalon, Ladarius Bishop, we know that Miles Slusher played last week, at a low percentage because he had a hamstring issue and he got beat twice, deep early on. And so they've just struggled there. Again, they've made some moves this week, moving Hudson Clark from safety from quarterback to safety. They've brought Sam Mbake, a wide receiver, over to play defensive back, and he's running second team on defensive back, which tells you a couple of things. Number one, that Mbake is a pretty good athlete, and number two, that they are so struggling for depth there that they had to go get a guy that from the wide receiver core that has shown stuff on special teams, but has not played defensive back since he was a sophomore in high school in Georgia. So, that kind of gives you an idea of where they're at in the secondary. And you don't want to be playing a Mike Leach team if your secondary is struggling.
Yeah, I mean, because they'll throw the ball 50, 60 times a game. And they really use that running, the short passing game, 3-4 yards across the line of scrimmage, like a running game. So that's a concern.
And that's going to be a big thing. Another thing that Arkansas has really struggled over these past couple of weeks, whether it be the linebackers, whether it be the secondary, is tackling in space. And we know that Mississippi State likes to get those quick passes. They want to turn those quick passes into big plays. Arkansas has to do a great job of tackling better, getting those guys down to have a chance. Because if you give up the short passes and miss tackles and they bust and get some big plays, you're going to have a long day in Starkville.
Yeah, you really are. And I look at around the SEC, we always think that this offense or that defense is the only way to go. And everybody starts copying off of it. But what Mike Leach does is what he's been doing his whole career, the air raid. But he makes tweaks to it. You have to, because people pick up on all your tendencies. It's just like you leave your duck decoys out too long in the same spot. About a week of that, ducks will figure you out. You got to be willing to move them around, and you've got to self-scout. And so what is Arkansas going to need to do differently that they haven't done to this point? Because State, again, that's a big victory, but I'm not going to say put too much into beating Texas A&M, because I don't think they're that good. If they win 7 or 8 games this year, that's going to be a big deal. But still, it looks good. The optics are good on it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing in this football game, and Arkansas has shown the ability, showed it last year, shown it this year, to run the football. But you've also got to have somewhat of a balanced attack. Now, you've got probably Cade Fortin, going to start, and Malik Hornsby going to play as well, the 2 backup guys. They've got to have the threat of the pass at least. I think those guys, can do okay with an RPO system and all that. But you're looking at an offense that has to keep Mississippi State off the field. Arkansas is going to have some sustained drives. They proved that they can do that, throughout the course of the season so far, but not so much in the past couple of weeks. And you cannot have 3 and outs. You're going to have to be good on third down. And to be honest, you're going to have good first down and second down plays, because you don't want to be third and long against anybody. And this is a Mississippi State defense that brings a lot of pressure, comes from a lot of different places. And they are more of, as Coach Pittman mentioned earlier this week, they use their pressure to be more of a run-stopping thing than get to the quarterback, as opposed to Arkansas, who tries to get to the quarterback more.
How bringing in Drew Sanders as a linebacker has been huge. 21 sacks in the first 5 games. if you typically look at the teams in the college football playoff, the top 4 teams, they'll have 45 to 60 sacks, somewhere in that range. So Arkansas, after 5 games, 21, and that averages about 4 a game. So that's the makings of a really good team that should win a bunch of games. The one thing about the SEC, though, is where can you hide? SEC East, SEC West. I like to ask this to people that really know football, and you get a lot of different answers. I'm going to ask you right now, what's your pick versus SEC East or West?
Well, this year I think the East has shown a little bit more strength, and you got to give Tennessee a lot of credit. I was wary early on, but after watching them these last few weeks, Hendon Hooker's playing great. It has made himself a Heisman Trophy candidate, I think. They're doing it without their best wide receiver, too. The defense has been opportunistic. So I'm a believer in the Vols now. Florida, I think we'll find some things out as the season goes along. Obviously had the big win to start the year. We're disappointed against Tennessee, but they gave them a good game at Tennessee. So, right now, if I had to choose a best division, I'd still take the West. But if there was a gap, it has definitely been closed. And I just think that, it's a pretty healthy bunch of teams in the SEC. And one thing, Missouri, I think most people left them for dead early on in the past.
Hold that thought, if you will. We're going to take a quick break. I want to talk about that. Jimmy has a great quote. They've learned how to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory better than anybody. We're going to be right back with Dudley Dawson, Hogville.net.
Red River Ford and Toyota, located in Wynne, Arkansas. If you're in the market for a new or used car, truck, or SUV, call, go online, or drop by and see them. Located 45 minutes from Memphis, go off the 4-city exit on I-40 and go north about 15 minutes on Highway 1. Easy to work with and still believe in customer service. If you live out of town, they will deliver your vehicle to you. RedRiverFordToyota.com. Just see what they can do.
Strengthen your seed zone this spring with quality tillage equipment from House Industries. Located in Cherry Valley, Arkansas, House Industries specializes in manufacturing superior equipment that will minimize your downtime and keep you working in the field. To ensure the highest quality control, all design, fabrication, and testing takes place in a 99,000 square foot manufacturing facility located right here in the heart of the Delta. Locate your nearest House equipment dealer online at houseindustriesinc.com.
House Industries, breaking ground.
Sidelines with Rob Browne. Talk sporty to me.
All right, Rob Browne back here at Red River Ford Toyota in Wynne, Arkansas. I'm talking with Dudley Dawson, Hogville.net on the ECS House Industries Razorback Report. And Dudley, you were making some really salient points about Missouri going into the break. And most people have left them up for dead. And I don't want to stop you, so you were on a roll, but we had to take a commercial break.
Yeah, they got to pay the bills. That's how it works.
Right.
Missouri, I think at the first year, everybody was leaving for dead, thinking that they may be the team that struggles the most in the SEC this year because Vanderbilt started out, so well. I will say that I give a lot of credit to Eli and his coaching staff that, they have been able to get those guys to play hard the last 2 weeks. They should have won at Auburn. I mean, the guy doesn't reach the ball over, and their field goal kicker, who's fantastic, misses one that he shouldn't. So they should have won that ball game. And then they go out the next week and just play Georgia, off their feet. Yeah. I don't know if they emotionally can go now to the swamp and have a third straight big time emotional thing. We'll see about that. But I give them a lot of credit for that. And one of their best players is Barrett Bannister, who him and his family lived in my neighborhood in Fayetteville when he was growing up. He's turned into a great player. He's obviously the nephew of our friend Tim Horton. I hate it for him. He had a big catch the other night, and there was a questionable hand to the face that helped Georgia out. But yeah, I've been surprised with Missouri and their fight in staying in there. I think that's a credit to Coach Drink and those players and Barrett being one of their leaders. And it just shows you that if you show up ready to play, you may not have the 5 stars that the other team do, but if you show up and you don't make mistakes, you've got a chance to be there in the end. And that's what Arkansas needs to do this week. And they've got to go down there and play near error-free football.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to a former SEC assistant coach, longtime assistant coach yesterday, exactly about that. Players, everybody's got players. It's just how many of your players are going to show up on game day and we're ready to fight. And Eli Drinkowitz, we got to meet him at SEC Media Days. Very likable guy, very smart guy. I think he'd be a lot of fun to play for. But I think they will. I think they're going to show up at Florida.
Yeah,
Jimmy Hodge,
Eli can get weird every once in a while, but
he can. I asked him about getting that Cardinals fan base passion and transfer and marry that in over in Columbia. And that's look what the Braves have done. I'll say that nobody does a better job in the Deep South than they do. But the Cardinals are, again, outside the Yankees, 11 or 12 World Series titles. The Yankees with 27. And there's just something about that, man. The doubleheader, if you're going to a game at Missouri this time of year, a Friday or Saturday night, if it's a day game, go to Busch Stadium. I mean, it doesn't get much better than, the Braves Stadium, Truist Park. Although you being a journalist tell me Truist is not a word, is it? It's a marketing slogan, isn't it? I don't get it.
Yeah, and I understand it's a bank and all that, but just for edification purposes, the Yankees have 26, the Cardinals have 11. So
okay, all right. Hey, we're all about the truth. I agree. Jimmy Hodge jumping here with Dudley, Dawson, Hogville.net. Oh, okay. I don't know, Jimmy. We may have lost Jimmy, but Dudley, I look around at the Braves have clinched. Okay, so now you've got that hype of you've got college football at about the halfway point of the regular season. You're going to start the playoffs. It's a great time of year, and again, you talk about Arkansas, this team with Sam Pittman in year 3. I got to ask you. I was talking to a friend of mine from Memphis, CBHS guy. We're all watching Patrick Kudus. Is he now the backup center for the Razorbacks?
Yeah, and I think Marcus Henderson would be if he's fully healthy because he's been here a couple of years. But Marcus is still trying to get his injury over his injuries. But yes, they're very excited about Patrick, and I think he's going to be. When you're an offensive lineman and Sam Pittman falls in love with you, I think that's a good sign. So, and I think he's going to be a stalwart for them down the line. They've got a lot of experienced guys that won't be here next year, and he'll have a chance to grab one of those 5 starting spots next year. The key is where is it going to be? He's got the versatility to play guard, center, and tackle. So they'll just have to figure out where's the best place for him and the others that they have on campus.
Well, I look around, at every school in the SEC, and I look at the rosters and all. You can finish Arkansas. I think just a couple of times under. Go back to Chad Morris. He had a recruiting class. One of his classes, 11 4-stars in there. 3 wide receivers in that group. One of them was Traylon Burks out of Warren, Arkansas, over 6'3". And that can get you 20th, 22nd, 23rd in the country, but that might be 9th or 10th in the SEC. That's the tough part about it. And then it gets down to player development. What kind of a grade would you give Arkansas's coaches? I'm not going to say anything about the offensive line because that's Sam Pittman's deal, and he's got an offensive line coach, but they're solid as a rock. Ricky Stromberg and those guys are good. But overall, I think they're getting very good coaching, but you just cannot do anything about injuries. They're just going to happen. So it's all about depth, isn't it?
Here's kind of been my standard line. I think that Arkansas has improved from 1 to 22. The 22 that they would send out there at the start of the year, I think they've cut down the difference between them and the top tier teams in the SEC, 1 to 22. I think they still have a ways to go, 1 to 44, and that's why you're seeing when these injuries happen that they don't have, maybe as top quality a backup as they would like to, and they're not way off, but still, quite a bit away from being where they want to be, 1 to 85. I think it's improved each year. They've got a recruiting class that's going to come in this next year that will cut down that 1 to 44 and 1 to 85 things. One of the biggest positives and one of the biggest negatives is that Arkansas won 9 games last year. Won 9 games that you've suddenly got given the fans hope and gotten the program some national publicity and everybody's patting Coach Pittman on the back. But when you get 9 wins and you go out and you struggle and you face a stretch like they had with A&M and these games coming up in October, if you don't win because you've raised expectations, now the fan base gets a little upset and it starts getting a little cranky. I was going to use another word, but it's a family show. So I think that, raised expectations factor into this a little bit as well. But I never thought that Arkansas would come out this year and get 10 wins. I didn't think 10 wins meant the program was getting better. Or if they didn't get 10, it wouldn't be getting better. It is always going to be a tough October. They lost 3 games last year, bounced back to win 5 of their last 6. They've got to find a way to do that through all these injuries. Winning at Mississippi State would be a huge deal for them. Going to BYU and winning would be a huge deal for them, but you may not do that. You may find yourself having you may find yourself down a 2 touchdown underdog to the bye week before you go to Auburn. And then that Auburn game really could be fascinating.
Well, I was in Auburn last weekend. You talk about snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Auburn did it. They did it. This offensive playbook that Auburn uses, it's on a Post-it note on your refrigerator. Just go in there and look. There's 3 plays. I mean, it is the stats on Auburn are terrible. Arkansas but Auburn, one thing about it is those kids have not quit. And another thing about Arkansas, those guys love the brand. I'm a huge fan of Sam Pittman, and obviously I'm in Arkansas a lot. I want to see them do well, but you just made a point a minute ago about 1 through 44, bridging that gap, closing the gap, and then 45 through 85. Kind of expand on that. You talked about, because your front 7 on defense, you better be 2 and 3 deep if you want to get to Atlanta. So if you can break that one down, injuries are going to happen. That's why you recruit so many players, isn't it?
Yeah, and I hate to go back and refer to it, but the COVID year that they gave these kids, I think, kind of was strange in a way that Arkansas kept so many of these guys that decided to use their COVID year. You guys that's been here 5 or 6 years that were great, experienced guys, and then all of a sudden, when you looked at this roster, you didn't have as many veterans, and you had a lot of young guys, and it has been a mix that has been at times fraught with peril, because you have guys who may have a football IQ, but they don't have the experience, hadn't been in the situations, and all of a sudden you've got guys running loose in the secondary, or you're not lined up right. I mean, my God, let's be honest about this. The Alabama running backs and quarterbacks running through the secondary in the 4th quarter, that was misalignment. That was guys not being where they should have been. Yes, Alabama has fast athletes, but I could have run through that hole, and I haven't really run since, I don't know, the 90s.
Oh yeah, you still work out.
I'm a brisk walker. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I see where you're coming from. You look around in these games in the 4th quarter, that's when, teams, if they're way ahead, they're going to try to empty the bench. But I see with the virus year, these guys, it's like they're going to be there forever. You've got a lot of 6th-year seniors. I've even seen some 7th-year guys. And, we always joke about certain players seem like they've been somewhere 10 or 12 years because they start every game in their career, especially if they're an offensive player.
Jordan Jones, it started. He was Arkansas native. He started his career at Arkansas.
Yeah.
Came here to play a few weeks ago, and he's in his 7th year. And he'd now played for 3 different teams at Reynolds Razorback Stadium. So
3 different coaches. That's
3 different
incredible.
teams, 3 different
programs. 3 different teams. Okay, 3 different programs. That is unreal. But again, you're seeing more and more of that happening of people that are kept on because of the virus year, and now, and I saw something yesterday that kind of blew my mind. Is it SMU where you've got some players that have said we're going to go ahead and shut it down this year because things aren't going our way. I mean, Rhett Lashley, I'm a big fan of his. You tell those guys, hey, let me help you pack your bags. And by the way, on the way off campus, go by the bursar's office and remove your name from the scholarship rolls. I mean, you quit, you're done.
Yeah, that's the way it should be. 6 guys, I think it was, decided that, and basically, if you know this, but some might, if you play you can play 4 games. If you play in that 5th game, then you don't get to use the year as a red shirt, and that's what a lot of those guys are doing. It's a quandary with coaches these days. If you don't play a kid enough, he's going to jump in the portal if he's not fully invested. And that's the deal. You've got to, when you're recruiting kids and you're trying to get them on athletic ability and what they can do for their program, you've also got to really judge their commitment to their high school teams and the different situations.
Yeah. Hi. Hey, Dudley, look, we've run out of time on this segment. I'm just going to say real quick, tell people how they can follow you. Great stuff as always. And these guys just shutting it down because things aren't going their way has got to stop. But look forward to having you back on next week. I learn a lot every time you're on here.
Well, I appreciate it. Hogville.net, the largest and best website in Arkansas, covering the Razorbacks. Fearless Friday. I'll be out seeing high school games again this weekend. And Pig Trail Nation, which is a Next Star affiliate. That's the top station up here in Northwest Arkansas. All
right. Hey, Dudley, Dawson, thanks so much. And we'll do it again next Thursday. Good luck Saturday in Starkville.
Glad my voice bounced back.
Sound great.
I was worried about it a couple of days ago.
No, you sound great. You sound great as always. So that's a good thing. But anyway, have fun down there in Starkville.
All right, later.
Okay. That is Gary Harris is now on with us. Tide 100.9 WVUA TV channel 23 in Tuscaloosa. Talking about with Dudley Dawson of Hogville.net about the Alabama-Arkansas game. They've got to go to Starkville Saturday, and Alabama and Texas A&M Saturday. This is going to be a lot of fun. I would say, what are the interns in the office saying about this game, the young people, and then what are the wise people like yourself saying?
Okay, you're going to have to talk to that camera. Oh, he said disregard that.
You can't hear Gary.
Yeah.
Nobody can hear Gary.
Okay, well, then just end the show. Just start talking and end it. Please. You better start talking.
Yeah. Gary, we're going to do this. We're about to take a break, and then we're going to come back and talk more about this, because Jaden, he's a heck of an athlete, but you don't want to lose your reigning Heisman Trophy winner quarterback in Bryce Young. There's just a lot of football left to be played. This one's a big one, Saturday against Texas A&M. The following week, you go up there to play Tennessee, and can imagine if both teams are undefeated, if Tennessee's able to come out of Baton Rouge with a win, man, that's going to be kind of the good old days when Tennessee, Alabama meant a lot. Right back after this 1 minute break.